is In the Shadows Podcast. Lots of cigar talk, but if it's going on in the world, we'll be talking about that too. And by the way, the fellows don't shy away from controversial topics. Trust me. So grab that stick, kick back with your favorite drink, and let's do the thing. This is the In the Shadows Podcast. Now your hosts, Tony the Soy Sauce Assassin.
Hey guys, Tony the Soy Sauce Assassin. Welcome to another episode of Shadow Smoke Legion in the Shadow Podcast. Today we have a repost of a special interview on one of our live show, episode 527 with Michael Herklots. And we just feel like that it would be beneficial for us to list this one as a podcast for your enjoyment. So there's going to be part 1 and part 2, or you can simply just go watch episode 527. We trimmed it down a little bit into 2 episodes, and I hope you enjoyed this particular podcast for this interview. And enjoy. You know what? Let's just go with our panel today. We have Eric, which you guys always see every single day. And then we have Johnny OCD. Johnny OCD, you want to kind of tell everybody who you are? Just say
me, I'm nobody. I'm just glad to be here.
All right, fine. I'll do it for you. So Johnny OCD has a channel called Johnny OCD, and he does cigar review 2 hours at a time at 2 a.m.
Yup.
That's pretty much what you need to know. So go check out his review when you're just done here. He does long review, but like more in depth. Like he's smoking with you, and then you're smoking with him, and he will tell you what he think about the cigar. There you go.
The best time to watch him is you about to go to bed.
Yeah, like usually I find he drop his video at 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock when I'm working. So a.m. a.m. All right. So now we have Michael. Michael, would you mind introduce yourself a little bit for everybody?
Yeah, sure. My name is Michael Herklots. I own a cigar company, Ferio Tego. This is my 25th year in the premium cigar industry. So that's an awfully exciting milestone for me. And I'm really pumped to be on with you guys. I've enjoyed watching you for so long, and I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to get more into my biography or whatever as we go. But frankly, there's no chapter in my biography more important than the one we're talking about tonight, which is Ferio Tego. And so I'm just looking forward to spending a few hours with you guys hanging out.
Awesome. Thank you. So with that being said, let's see who we have 21 people right now. Let's see who's on there. We have Better Tobacco, who's like literally on the moment that I dropped this show. And Javier, we got Cigar Carpenter, Matt in the morning, Cody, Benjamin, who's super excited about this for some reason.
Right.
Keith, John, if I get to scroll down, JB, and Lotus.
And Hugo.
Everybody. Jeff, Hugo's on. I think I didn't miss it. Quake and Steve. There we go. All right. So as you can see, we're all dressed up. And the reason we dressed up is because every time we're looking at any photo whatsoever or video about Michael, he's dressed up. Except today.
Except for today.
I mean, I still have a collar on with another collar on. Like, it's pretty close. I mean, it's just a slightly, diminished version of the typical, how you doing?
But we just want to say that, you dress very well. Like when I look at a picture, you always suit up every time. Suit up.
Yep.
So
it looked great, man. It
looks good. So we're like, we know what if we all wear a t-shirt, he came out with a suit. It's better if you came out with a suit, he come out with a t-shirt, that's totally fine.
For me, I try and dress to my audience, and I try and dress to my customer, but I also, it's not like I drop my kids off in suits, you know what I mean? At school. So I'm authentic, and this is a Thursday night, Wednesday night, and I've been running around all day, and I barely made it on time. So this is what you got. You got Wednesday Herklots mode.
Nice. So today we are, like I already up and announced, we're going to smoke a Suma. So if you guys have a Suma, you should light up your Suma and smoke with us. And just for in case the Suma didn't last me that long, because I have a Robusto, I also have an Elegancia as a second.
Hey, I have the same thing, dude.
Yeah,
I'm ready to go.
We got things set up.
Awesome. I'm gonna do the. I was debating between the Corona Gorda and the Torpedo, but I'm gonna go Torpedo.
Yeah,
And then I've got a couple backups just in case.
I got Torpedo as well.
Awesome.
I just want to point out that I personally, on purpose, tried to match the Suma. So
Very nice. Very nice. Bro, solid. Blue and gold? Are you kidding? Excellent.
You forgot the brown, man. You forgot the wrapper.
He's Thai, technically.
Oh, okay.
No, it ties the gold. No, it's good. The chair is the brown.
There you go.
There you go.
honestly, the shoes are the best part, and you can't even see them. So, oh well.
All right, we have on the panel, it says I only have Metro, Maduro, local shop about sold out for real Tego. Come on, Michael, sold out. You need to make sure
Well,
the shop.
listen, here's what I'll tell you, Lotus. If that's true that they had it and it's sold out, this is one of those important moments for a retailer where they need to be reminded how much you love that brand. So if you go in, don't just settle for what's there. What helps us the most is when you ask, hey, what happened to this? I know you had it before. You're going to get it back. I love that. It's a very simple thing, but that changes the trajectory of our business because it reassures the retailer that we are a brand worth continuing.
Cool. So yeah, just let your retail knows like, hey, how dare you run out? I need more.
That's right.
Yeah. So to do some icebreaker, over the week we're talking about you coming on. There's some members that has some questions that's more of an icebreaker question. So we're gonna ask those questions and see if you can answer them. Okay. And one of the most iconic one I think that we talk about is, so Michael, if you were a tree, what tree would you be?
If I were a tree,
Can't believe we're starting off with that already.
like growing out of the ground,
Yes.
what tree would I be? I mean, in my head, I would love to consider myself an oak tree.
Okay.
But if you look at me, I'm like fucking Charlie Brown's Christmas tree. You know what I mean? I mean, let's face it. So I'm gonna go Christmas tree because it's my favorite holiday and it brings joy to people, and it also likes to get dressed up and be fancy. So Christmas tree, final answer. How about that?
Okay, sounds very good. We have one from Ben today. It's about the Suma. And he's saying, is the Suma has anything to do with your grades in college? Because, he's thinking that maybe you got a Suma cum laude, so that you name the cigar Suma.
I went to music school, and I don't think anyone had summa cum laude when we graduated. But summa is specifically it's Latin for a synthesis of the body of work. So in that idea of summa cum laude, it's completion with honors or something like that. For me, summa is really meant to be a synthesis of elegancia and generoso within Ferio Tego, that it really kind of sits in the middle of those two. But more importantly, to be honest, it's meant to be kind of representative of my corpus of work to date and the direction where we're going. So it's the newest and most recent, but when you really consider flavor, mouthfeel, pedigree of blend, it truly kind of is a synthesis of my style in one blend.
Okay. And we have viewer number 3, who just happened to kind of touch upon the question that's next. Is that what instrument did you play or study when you were in music school? And how in the world did you ended up making cigars on that? Because music school and cigars are like...
We could do 2 hours on that. Fortunately, we've done 2 hours on that on other shows, so I'll let people go discover it. But the fast answer, drum set was my discipline. I don't claim to be a percussionist, truly drum set. And I studied drum set performance at Berklee College of Music in Boston. And while I was in college, my first year, one of my roommates, we would walk every day through Boston, a different route, and we walked by a cigar bar. And this is 1998, so we were at the top of the boom. And he was like, "Let's go smoke a cigar." I was like, "I have asthma and I'm broke. Like, there's nothing about that sounds like a good idea." But he went in, so I went in, and I will tell you, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate watching this. There's the moment, and sometimes it comes in your first cigar and sometimes it comes later, but there's a moment of discovery. For me, that moment was walking in that door of that cigar bar. And again, 1998, I was 18 years old. The place is dark. There's jazz music playing. Everyone's in suits. Everyone has these fancy glasses with brown stuff in it, and everyone is smoking cigars. And I had never seen any of that, let alone all of it in one place. And for me, before I even was exposed to a cigar, I was taken by the culture of that room. And it did not take long before I immediately not just fell in love with it, but was enamored by it. And if you know your history, 1998 was not exactly a robust time for resources for cigars. So you really had to get everything in brick and mortar, a little bit online, or whatever books and magazines you could find. And so I just went all in, and I pursued music full time, but I would spend all of my free time, whatever free time I had, in a cigar shop, and then ultimately and quickly working in a cigar shop. And that's where it began. So the journey from there, my first job was 1999 at a kiosk in a shopping mall in Boston. And, you know, it was just a steady progress and really an open-mindedness to opportunity. So even though I moved to New York as a musician, I got a job at Davidoff on Madison Avenue as a sales associate. And I would take vacation from work to go on tour with bands, and I would I would rearrange my music and gigging and recording schedule to make sure that I could still do full-time hours. So it was always saying yes to everything. And ultimately, the cigar side brought me as much joy as the music side, and certainly more success and more opportunity than the music side provided. So that was just it was a natural progression of more and more eggs falling into the cigar basket.
Okay. Anybody get that? No question on that, right? So I wanted to kind of hit over to Johnny because, you know, he's the star of this whole thing happening because he won't I remember we're talking about you, all of a sudden he's like, you know what, I'm gonna go find Michael, and all of a sudden you jumped out. So I'm pretty sure he's got
that night, man, that was great.
Yeah, I was like, whoa, hey, people have their life, man, can let them be.
No, but listen, you know what, we have our life, but this is also our life. And I'm a big believer in, you know, if I'm available, I'm in, you know, especially now. I mean, before I was too, but I wasn't an owner. Now I'm an owner. So if you're telling me that there are 15, 18, 22 passionate cigar enthusiasts that have a question for me and I'm not busy, I'm in. Now, at that particular time, my kids were going to sleep and it was like tricky. So I was, you know, over in the corner listening and jumping in during like bedtime story hour or whatever. But yeah, man, it's not a bother, you know. And I'm also, if I can't do it, I can't do it. And I say, hey, I'd love to, I can't. But if I can, man, why would I say no?
That's a good thing because
I appreciate that. I just thought it was really cool when you popped in, but I just wanted to back up. I think on that live that night before Michael popped on, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tony, I think we were talking about like boutique blends or boutique cigar manufacturers just buying blends. And I was like, yeah, but I know that Michael, you know, as the stories I heard is like he's on the ground floor with Casada, smoking raw tobacco and puking in, you know, 30 minutes later. So, and then that's when he popped on.
Right. Yeah, because
he blends your own cigars.
Right, because that night he talked about, which other people could probably get that information from that episode really quickly, rather than has us answering over here, is that he blended all of those cigars in all those cigars his baby, and that's why he carried it with him into Ferio Tego. and now
Right.
he united his baby in the right place right now. Basically, that's what it is.
That's
right?
true.
Okay, so Johnny, if you have questions, don't feel like you had to hold back to ask questions. Like I say, if I have something to blame about why he doesn't want to talk to me anymore and throw me in storage drive and run me over, it will be you. Okay.
I'm fine with that. I'm okay with it.
Bring it.
So before we go too far, let's talk about this Suma, right? Because everybody's probably light up their Suma right now. Let's talk about the Suma, right?
Hey, before we do that, I just want to ask anyone who is on any social media, if you are watching and you are smoking the Ferio, or even if you're not, can you just snap a picture of what you're watching, or snap a picture of the cigar and post it at some point today, tomorrow, whatever. But this kind of thing, an audience of 20 is a network of 20,000 if you're just willing to amplify how exciting this is. And it's good for all of us. So I would just ask at some point tonight, snap a picture and make sure you blast it out and tag everybody you know so that they can see how much fun this platform is. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry, Tony.
And I just want to mention, Michael, literally, I didn't know Michael when Ferio Tego first came out. I saw it in the Davidoff store. I came back after I bought a stick. I think that was Generoso or Elegancia. And I did a review, and he commented on it. I was literally like, who the hell was that?
I was like, who is this?
Right.
He commented. I was like, who the hell?
I have no idea who he is, but I noticed that he always go comment on every single review he can find. Like every time I look at another person's review, he's there. So
Good or bad, he's there.
The only time I don't comment is if it's really bad. And that's not because I don't want to engage with it, but sometimes it's better to just not put any oxygen on that at all. And so if there's something really bad, which happens from time to time, I generally don't engage that at all, because I don't think I'm not a believer in investing time and energy in negative whatsoever. What I appreciate what you guys all do is even if there's a blend that doesn't necessarily resonate with you, you're still willing to give points to the things that are going well. Like Johnny, I remember seeing a review that you did at one point where you're like, this isn't for me, pepper's not for me, and so this isn't for me. But you were also generous with giving credit where credit was due, with combustion, with draw, with all those other things. And that's really what we're trying to do as artists. At least I am, I mean, if you're willing to take me for a spin, then I have to express my gratitude for your thoughtfulness. Even if you don't like it, you're still being a fair advocate for the things that went well. And the ones that I refuse to put oxygen on are those reviews or whatever editorials that are just trashing things, because I don't believe that you are at all attached to the thing that makes this so special. No one puts a cigar out that they hope people don't enjoy. Everyone is trying to create something that people do enjoy. And so, I really appreciate when people take the time to do it. And so all I can do is at least comment and say thank you on everything I can find.
Cool. So yeah, put on your social media. I'm pretty sure Michael would chime in if he finds them. So make sure to tag him too.
Let's talk Suma.
Before we go to that, Better Man Tobacco said that he really liked the Sterling and Elegancia and Sunquake Connecticut right there. And he also asked if he can work for you. So, that's, you gotta reach out to him. You guys know how to reach out to corporates,
Hopefully we're going to sell enough cigars that we can start hiring people.
All right. So yeah, let's talk about this Suma. Give us a little bit detail on this Suma, like a reviewer would, like what's in here. What was your vision for this cigar before this cigar was a cigar?
Well, if you've enjoyed any of my work more than once or more than one blend, hopefully you will have experienced the consistency of body that really is, for me, kind of my signature in how I create blends. That there has to be a body that is present and unctuous and at least medium. You have to feel it feel the weight in your mouth. And so for me, like if you talk Elegancia and Generoso first, those came first. They both share a very round, rich body upon which there are two completely opposite styles of flavor. Elegancia is creamy but nutty, vanilla, honey, creme brulee, all that stuff. Whereas on Generoso, you still have that round, creamy body, but it delivers more of that spice, earth, leather, cocoa, all those notes. For me, Suma was really trying to connect them in a way that highlights some of the flavors that are most characteristic of Nicaragua, but to deliver those flavors in a body that just can't be achieved in Nicaragua. And so it was a lot of balancing, creating the body and then trying to get the right flavors to move to the front. So ultimately, I hope what you find with Suma, especially the Torpedo and the Robusto, is a sort of leathery, chocolatey, coffee fudge bomb that has a little bit of woodiness. And then the narrower you go, like to the Corona Gorda, more of the woodiness is pronounced. When you skew towards the 60, it actually skews more towards the leather and even a touch of pepper. But generally speaking, the flavors are shared. The story is largely the same. It's just I have more time and room to give you different details in the 60 than I do, say, in the Corona Gorda. But I would say if I was going to do one word for Suma, it's fudge.
Okay, all right.
Not like Keebler 7-Eleven fudge in a bag with the fake nuts on top. Fudge like decadent, savory, not sweet fudge, but like real. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like
right,
savory fudge.
Okay, so I have another question from Ben. He says, Suma has 4 sizes. Why does Suma focus on those ring gauge of your blends are more diverse Vitola?
What was the specific question about why doesn't or does?
I guess why he is asking why is Suma focused on those ring gauge sizes? Like, because you tend to have bigger sizes of cigar, I guess. Why focus on these sizes?
So in this case, we go from a 46 to a 60. And so I'm a big fan of thinner ring gauges. Thinner ring gauges don't sell. So I had to go as thin. Now you want to know inside baseball about how cigars are made? Here's the inside baseball. When you print a band, you have to print it based on the face and the ring gauge. And you can't put the same band on a 60 ring gauge that you would a 38 because you lose the face. And we couldn't afford to make 2 different band sizes. So I knew that I could go from 46 to 60 on the same band size. And so that's why we did 46 to 60. I blended in a 50. I love torpedoes. Almost every blend I do has a torpedo. And then that gives us a little room to play also. So we will certainly extend those sizes. But I think it's a fair representation of 4 expressions of the same story when you can go from 46 to 60.
Okay, all right, that's a legit question answer, I guess, so that people knows now. So when you print a cigar band, this had to show. If it's any smaller, you only show half of that. You couldn't do it. So he basically go with the one that he could. There we go.
And I happen to love 46 ring gauge. I love it. I think it's just awesome, particularly in darker styles. I love even thinner in some of the lighter styles. But to me, a Corona Gorda like this is one of my favorite sizes on the planet. Lonsdale's, Corona Gordas, I just think they're great.
Nope, we disagree on that.
I 100% agree.
That's why I make 60s.
Right.
No, I 60 is way too big.
Michael, just
hold on. If a 46 is too small and a 60 is too big, what are you, just smoking Toros all day, bro?
Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
Let me give you a little insight. So Asians don't smoke thinner tobaccos because in tradition, females smoke thinner tobaccos. So, when you have something like the Lonsdale or Lanceros, that looks like a girl smoking. So guys wouldn't go towards that.
Well, the good news is we're in the United States of America, and you can smoke whatever you want, my man.
True. But then, when you hold a big cigar, a big gauge cigar, to like Toro or Robusto or Gordo, it just have that presence on your hand. It feels nice.
How tall are you?
5'8".
I'm 5'8". If I hold a 6x60, I look like I'm carrying a Stanley Cup around. You know what I mean? Like,
That's a little bit too big.
There's also something proportionate to the cigar that you select also.
Mm-hmm.
The 6x60 is huge, man.
6x60 is way too big. That shouldn't be made.
So I'll tell you, 6x50 Toro is the #1 selling Vitola in the United States of America.
6x60?
6x50.
6x50, okay.
6x50. And so I blend everything I do now in 6x50. Historically, I used to blend in 46, but that's because you would take a blend from, let's say, 42 to 56 at the biggest, maybe 54. So you blend in 46. But now, since we almost always go to 60, and I try and pull down to at least a 46, I always blend in 50. So when you smoke a 50 ring gauge in nearly any of our blends, you're really tasting Plan A. That's the original version. And then as you extend out in sizes, that's kind of the interpretations of blend into size.
Okay, so
also that's very inside baseball, but
so everybody from now on buy the 6x50s of every cigar he came out with. Because
well, the funny thing is we don't have 6x50s in every cigar that we make. That's the funniest part.
Then Plan A is not always Plan A.
So you go with Plan B,
never Plan A, bro.
So this is my question. So Eric and I recently smoked Panamericana. I think that's one of your cigar. This might be a question that you might not want to answer. It was a pretty good cigar, but we noticed one problem with that cigar. I want to see if that's something on purpose. Is that cigar has tan lines?
Has
10 lines.
tan lines?
Yes. So I was wanted to see if that's on purpose. So with
What
the
the hell
cigar,
is a tan line?
okay.
Well,
So
you know how like the bands, right?
once you remove the bands, it looks like that cigar just went to Hawaii and came back, got 10 lines on it.
That's LED lights at wherever you
I
buy.
would say, where'd you buy it?
Davidoff.
Online shop.
We bought it at Davidoff.
So I'll
Right?
bet
Did we buy
they have.
we bought
Yes.
that at Miami, right?
Yes, we got it
Yeah.
at Davidoff. Yes.
So those shops have LEDs in the shelf.
Yeah.
Not very bright. It's not a very bright place.
No, but if it's in the same position for the same amount of time, there can be there can be some change in shade under the band versus outside of the band.
Yeah, because when we're smoking, I was like, is that on purpose to have a 10 line?
Bro, what a great idea. Oh my God.
Because we were confused. Like, it's like, if it's only one cigar, we know it's like,
No,
maybe
because-
it's a mistake or something. Both of us
That's like-
has 10 lines.
Yeah, but like, isn't that like the newer cigar that you just came out with too?
Panamericana I came out with in 2014.
Oh, so it was a re-release.
It's
Because I haven't seen it
all
until
of
recently.
Timeless was created initially between 2012 and 2016, with the exception, of course, of the 10th anniversary.
Mhm.
So with Ferio Tego, we of course redid everything. So everything has been kind of remastered to be relevant and best it's ever been. But the initial creation of Panamericana was 2012. All right, here's a Pan Am.
Yeah,
got
no
no
10 on
feeling.
that one. Yeah, the one we
Like
got, you take
the
it out.
funny is like both of us had it. That's the funny thing.
Yeah, we gotta
But it
find
came
that
from the
video. We gotta find that
Came from the
video.
same shop.
Yeah.
So that generally is affected by light, and it can happen fast too.
Yep.
But I'm gonna guess that's light.
We gotta find that video with that cigar, and we're gonna send it to you. So you can look at what it is. It's a
Bro,
really funny looking
what
10
a-
line.
This is like such a cool idea for a project.
10 line cigar, right? It's almost like, how Davidoff had the year of the tiger with a stripe, and then they did it on purpose. It looks good. So
Yeah, it looked like that.
which I thought that was such a beautiful. When I first saw that, I was like, what is wrong with this? How could they put this out? And then looking at it and understanding what it was, I thought that was tremendous.
It's a genius idea.
It looks
like
great. I love it. So I love it.
The question is, who's going to be the first to copy it?
It probably take too much effort to copy that, right? So it wouldn't make sense to do it.
I didn't say it's going to be copied well, but someone's going to copy it.
True.
Oh,
True.
yeah.
Another question I have is, I think you're very active in PCA. Are you like host of the PCA or something like that this year? Like I see your video everywhere.
I'm on the board.
Okay.
So that's really behind the scenes active. But then, I mean, look, man, I'm growing a business from scratch. If there's a camera walking by that doesn't stop at my booth, I'm going to make him stop at the booth. You know, I mean, I need as much awareness as we could possibly get. So every opportunity I have to share our story and share the work, you know, it's always going. Of course, there's a little bit of overlap, but it's another audience. It's the equivalent of doing another event. Mm-hmm. But I'm standing still and people are coming through. Okay. So I would say I'm active certainly in the association as a member, as a sponsor, on the board. But all of that is behind the scenes. So other than my logo that you'll see in other videos because we're on the signage, then anything that you see where I'm in front of camera is just making sure that we're getting airtime with everybody.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to underfill your cigar like the sandwich, right?
Say that again, Eric?
That's what I was going to ask. So how was that sandwich? $17 sandwich. How is it?
Listen, so that, I mean, I have a history of doing funny videos with Dojo, but that one, the first sandwich one, when I was by myself, was as completely organic as it could possibly be. I was walking, they were actually doing an interview in another booth, and I interrupted it and was just like, and they're like, oh, what'd you get? And I just joked like, oh, this is the culinary mecca of Las Vegas. This is my favorite restaurant when I'm here. And they were like, hold on. And they stuck a mic on me and just started hitting record. So that was that. Then, not to be outdone, Fred Rui decided to jump in and do a response as the head of Sun Chips, which then now we were like on a roll. So then we did the last video, which was the deconstruction of the sandwich. I thought was pretty funny.
That's what I noticed. You have 3 pieces of ham, but you say it was underfilled. So I thought that was pretty nicely filled.
No, but over a full sub.
Yeah, man, 3 pieces of ham is not filled, man.
Well, the price range was a little bit too high, 17 for a drink.
Crazy, bro.
You know, but hey, that was funny. I enjoyed that video a lot. So
listen, I think as much as I love talking about the things that make Ferio Tego unique and talking about wrapper binder filler and talking about the blend process and we're saturated with this stuff. And part of the brand is me. And I'm not always suited up. And when I am, it doesn't mean that I'm an asshole. You know what I mean? So being able to do fun stuff like that and just, let people see another side of me, that's part of the brand too. And I think it's when there's an authentic opportunity to kind of like show a little part of that, why not? Who cares?
Yes. Nice. Now, that's good. Some brands are not as friendly, and I like brands that are friendly. People that like to get with their people, with the people that enjoy the cigar, and that's the real thing, right? Cigar is about sitting down, have a cigar, talk, and all that stuff. There's only so much you can talk about cigars. The people behind it that really get you want to smoke certain cigars sometimes.
I think there are obviously some brands that earn their unapproachability, because there are so many people who want to connect with the brand that it becomes very difficult. And maybe that's earned, but the best of those brands, at least the ones I've known over 25 years, I remember when all of them were at this stage in their game, 2.5 years into their business, banging on doors, asking for the sale. And there's something memorable and meaningful to me at how approachable they were as a young person coming up in the business. Those moments with them were very important. It let me see the complete picture of who these people were, not just the stuff that you would see in a magazine. And I think there's a lot to learn from that type of approachability and authenticity. And so I just try and do the same thing my way.
So now that I'm like, I don't know, maybe a little bit more than 1/3 in, let's talk about what you guys think about a cigar. Johnny, what do you think about a cigar? Like now that you smoked it, it's okay to go overly critical, you know?
Yeah, of course.
I mean, I've always liked the Suma. I'm smoking the Corona Gorda. I like smaller ring gauge, but this is my second favorite Ferio Tego cigar.
Second favorite. What's your primary favorite?
All day.
Elegancia, you said?
I love the Elegancia.
So another inside baseball, the similarities to this and Elegancia are striking. In fact, I used Elegancia as my base blend to create Suma because I knew that was the mouthfeel. That was the body that I had to deliver the Nicaragua flavor on. So Elegancia is Nicaraguan, Dominican filler, Dominican binder, Ecuador, Connecticut wrapper. We took that blend and first disrupted it with, at the time, a Dominican Corojo wrapper, which threw it completely out of balance. And then we solved for that by increasing Nicaragua and changing the binder to Ecuador. And then through a few more tweaks, we got the Suma. But I find that if you smoke Elegancia and Suma, there's a very similar, there's a term viscosity, which is that almost like syrupy kind of flabbiness on the palate that you get from wine or you get from rum, for example. It's that viscosity. To me, both of those blends have a viscosity to them in their body. This one just happens to deliver the darker versions of the Nicaragua as opposed to emphasizing more of the Dominican and then just kind of balanced by the Nicaraguan Elegancia.
I absolutely agree with that. Is this Casada tobacco or is this?
It's Casada made.
Casada made.
So you have tobacco from Casada, tobacco from Nicaragua that we buy. The Ecuador, of course, we buy. And then some of the Dominican, the Casadas have grown and some of it is purchased as well. But made at Casada.
This question is, how many wrapper and binder combo did you try for the Suma before the double Ecuador?
We changed the binder to Ecuador before we changed the wrapper to Ecuador. We got to Nicaragua heavy with Dominican, Ecuador binder, and Dominican Corojo wrapper. And I love Dominican Corojo, but it's very thick. And you either get it thick and it burns like shit, or you come down a priming and it becomes thin and kind of brittle and it doesn't have the flavor. And every time we were going back and forth, in fact, I have the samples right here. I was just revisiting them. It was a nightmare. And you can't have them not burn, but you can't have the flavor that you're looking for. And then ultimately, the same person that we were pulling some of the Dominican Corojo from said they had Ecuador Corojo. And we said, well, let's try that. And so that took a tweak, but that's really what doubled down on that viscosity feeling. Because if you think about Elegancia, that Ecuador Connecticut has a little flavor, but it has a lot of texture. And so by doing Ecuador Corojo, it provided the feel of Ecuador with the flavor of Corojo. And so that was the final. So I would say, all in, Suma was about probably 15, 16 different tweaks before we ultimately got it. And then the 60 ring gauge took another 2 tweaks to get the 60 right.
Cool. That sounds about right. So
that sounds absolutely right.
People think like, oh yeah, the tweaking and stuff of that is easy. Is that you got to go through all of that? You got to roll them. You got to wait for them. You got to smoke them. That experience is, it's a lot of work.
And the worst, by the way, is when you think it's great and then you smoke it 12 weeks later and it changed so radically that you have to start over. And then when you start over, you have to wait the 12 weeks to see if it changes again. I mean, that's the worst part. I actually had this conversation with Pete Johnson on a live, like maybe 3 weeks ago with his rep Mo, and it's on his feed. And it was a really interesting conversation about that struggle of, do you wait or do you trust your gut that it was right the first time? And even though it goes through some of those changes, you just, you know the process well enough to know that it will end up okay at the end. It was cool having that conversation with Pete because we've both been there.
Yeah, we are just in the beginning of that process for our Legion cigar. So we smoked it this Saturday. We're gonna smoke at 30 days, and we're gonna see how it change. It does get lighter, and then you start to realize that the flavor marriage each other. It start to change a little bit.
Well, here's the thing I'll tell you. By the time you get Suma, it has at least 6 months. So the amount of change that happens in the first 6 weeks is radical, even to 12 weeks. The amount of change after that is minimal until you really get probably 3 to 5 years, depending on the blend. And then you really start to get into noticeable change. But if you're smoking side by side, you can get some of that. And depending how you age or you store your stuff, you can also kind of manipulate some of that development. But I would say once a blend hits that 4 month to 6 month mark, there's really very little that's going to change because everything is married at that point until you really get years down the road.
So, Eric, what do you think about a cigar now that we're done with Johnny's?
This is like one of the worst cigars I smoked.
Really?
Nah, I'm just joking. No, it's pretty good. I always go back to it. I grab it whenever I see it. And I bought the box before I smoked it. Tony sent me one, and he was like, "Hey, bro, it's good." And he was like, I was like, "Okay, cool. Let me go buy the box real fast."
Now, Eric, let me ask you this, because you guys both use the word pretty good, which I take. But what makes a cigar very good to you? Because if you say that you go back to it and you enjoy it, where does this blend fall short, in your opinion, that doesn't make it very good?
To me, from my opinion, do you want really like honest opinion? When it hit, okay, the first, second, third is great, good flavor, good body. But in my opinion, the final third, it started falling off really bad.
But you're not there yet.
Oh, I am.
You're at the final third?
Yeah, pretty much.
So the flavor, you said, falls off, meaning it changes or it diminishes in that.
It diminishes. And then sometimes, not all the time, sometimes it get this weird bitterness, but then that might be just my palate. But no, to me, I always buy it when I see it. It's like it's a 5-pack or rebuy all the time. So that's how I look at it. It's a great cigar. It's a cigar that don't have strength, but full of body, full of flavor to smoke, to enjoy. Which is great, right? You don't want too much strength that just knock you out of your head.
Bro, that goes back to the signature. I don't want any strength. I'd like a little bit of intensity, but the last thing I want is for you to feel fatigued after one of my cigars. I want you to have so much enjoyment that you light up another one. You know, there's some cigars that damage you when you're done. That's strength. I don't want to damage you. I want you to put on another record and listen to another song, you know?
Yeah.
The bitterness. Have you smoked torpedoes every time?
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, I smoked the Robusto too.
And you found that had the same bitterness at the end for you?
Yep, at the end though. But that's, to me, that happened a lot to a lot of cigars.
Can I chime in real quick? Just real quick.
Yeah.
I want to throw just maybe a smidge of science here, because I noticed that you say that a lot, Eric. Like first third, second third, always really good. Final third, you kind of gets bitter and everything drops off.
Yeah.
In cigars, a lot of your humidity or your RH levels are higher in the head or the final third. So it's possible that maybe they're a little over humidified.
No, we keep our cigar dry.
Yeah, like our shit is dry, bro. My shit's staying like 50,
have you tried like
58 in the
Eric, when you hold it right here, right below the ash, is it warm?
No, it's nice. It's nice and cool. I don't hotbox it.
No, good, because that's just if you're trying to triage a problem, one of the first mistakes, obviously, is allowing that to get hot.
Yeah.
So if it's cool and you're still getting the bitterness, and it's not bitter temperature, it's bitter flavor.
Bitter flavor, yes. Is it?
And that
Not like every puff either. It just,
understood.
It happened random.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it. I'm gonna. No.
No, it's not just your cigar either. It's that a lot of cigar has that problem for us, and it could be just us. It could be whatever. But when I smoke cigar, I tend to put my ring finger on it to make sure it's not too hot from time to time.
Oh, that's an interesting technique.
So I know it's not too hot, and then when I taste it, I was like, and that's what had to do with what you eat normally in your daily diet. And
Seriously, Eric, have you ever put it down? Let's say has it gotten bitter right now?
There was a few puffs, yes. But then
I'm just curious, if you put it down and let it go out, if you relight it when it's totally cool, I'm curious if the bitterness is there.
I never let my cigar go out, so I don't know.
It's just one more way of seeing if it's part of combustion, if it's part of temperature, if it's actually just the way the oils and the tars have migrated into that final third.
Probably, right?
Yeah,
because you all pull and smoke through it for like an hour.
Right. So you are gonna get stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
To answer Michael's question, what makes a cigar great versus not bad or pretty good? For me, right, it's actually feeling based, right? Also, price based too, right? So let's say if I smoke $100 cigar, at the end of it, I wouldn't be like, I want another one of these right now, And usually a good cigar is when you smoke it, you're like, that's really good. I'm done. I'm satisfied. I'm good. And then a great cigar will be like, I'm done with it, but I'm like, I still want another one. And I still want to buy another box just now. And that will be making me think that this is a great cigar. This is awesome cigar. It's the after smoking and making one buy another one for whatever reason. So it's feeling based. Like when your enjoyment versus when you thinking to buy another one. That's what makes it.
I guess that reassures me then, because Eric, if you're buying one every time you see one, then it is stimulating your memory into wanting to repeat that.
Like when I look at it, I was like, that's a good cigar. I'm going to pick it up.
That's great. So it's a great cigar then, based on...
Great cigar.
No, great cigars when have 10 boxes of them.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll work on that.
and it's not too far. It's not like we don't enjoy it. We definitely enjoy it.
Oh, yeah. We enjoy it.
Well, else we'd be like, let's not bring Michael on because he's going to hate us right off the bat, But it's a good cigar. I bought Suma before I even tried one. I bought an entire box of Suma before I even tried one because I had experience with the Elegancia and Generoso. I was like, this is a pretty good cigar. I'm going to just pitch in and just buy an entire box.
Once I smoked
it was great. But
once I smoked your 10 years, that one, after that, I keep looking for your cigar. That one was great. That one was really good. Yeah.
That was a good one.
And plus, I love the ring gauge on it.
yeah.
54.
Yeah.
Part of the challenge of any artist is the balance of trying to create something that is familiar enough to be appealing to people, right? But then at the same time, making sure that it's original enough to stand out and to also have a signature where it's recognizable. So if Pearl Jam or Dave Matthews Band or Philip Glass, for that matter, show up on your playlist, you almost inevitably know who it is if it's a new song without looking at it. Like, holy shit, is this Dave Matthews Band? Like, this sounds like them. It's got to be them. Oh, yeah, it's them, right? But in all cases, when original artists are first kind of debuting their work, it's always met with the criticism that is rooted in the experiences with art that's come before. And so as that artist evolves, then there's more familiarity with the style, and then you approach it and appreciate it in a different way because now it is familiar. And I'm curious, I've struggled with this as a new brand, this balance of trying to appeal to everybody immediately versus being patient enough to let people discover the work and realize that it's unique, and it's not the same as everything else that's out there. I mean, that's how I found Johnny the first time. It was like all of a sudden it was like, boom, cigar number 1, boom, cigar number 2, boom, cigar number 3. And watching your discovery of it and start to connect dots through it all was really interesting for me as the artist, because I was watching your journey and exploration of me as a cigar maker. I mean, I think the first one was the first cigar blend of mine you had ever had. So it was fun to watch and listen and track your exploration of what I was doing. And it sounds to me like, Eric, it was kind of Tenure that did that for you.
Yep.
Tony, I don't remember what your first was.
My first one was, I believe, Generoso.
But I'm curious if we do this again 6 months from now or a year from now, as you smoked more stuff. I can't wait to see how the perspective evolves with our blends and how they relate to the other blends that you enjoy, and whether the work we're doing is starting to influence your assessment of it all, you know?
Cool. That means he's coming back, guys.
Oh, 1,000%, bro. It's almost like the first time you have coffee when you're a kid and you taste black coffee, right? And you're like, who would drink this shit? And I drink black coffee all the time.
We love it.
But there's, it's not that you learn to love it, but things that were unappealing before become appealing later. And I think there is a bit of that discovery and learning to love something so different. Just no different than whiskey or wine or beer or coffee or whatever else you like. So, or White Monster for that matter, of course.
You've been listening to the In the Shadows podcast. There's nothing like a fine cigar, and that's our passion. And on the show, we'll talk about everything and anything cigars. And you know what happens when you get a bunch of guys together smoking cigars. The conversations go on. And that is what this show is all about. We hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. Remember, everything you need is on YouTube at Soy Sauce Assassin. The live show is every Wednesday and Saturday at 9 p.m. Eastern. And get cigar reviews. Wishing you long ashes. We'll see you next time on In the Shadows podcast.